Okay, guys, I'm gonna sit in an informal position. I need to hit record on this, but I'm gonna sit in an informal, relaxed position to add some gravitas to this video. This is an unusual video for me. I'm making an update, which I don't really normally do. Anyway, I need to plug this in. Okay guys, so the title of this video isn't clickbait. Something has gone wrong. The wheels have fallen off for me. Again, this isn't the first time this has happened. I'm dropping this video out of schedule and in addition to my normally weekly upload as a quick update to my current training situation, or lack of it, as something has happened that's completely derailed all of my upcoming events, plans and subsequent YouTube videos. It's made me question all of my decisions, and if I'm brutally honest with you, which I always try to be in my videos, has made me think about the future of my channel too, as I've spent the past week walking around like a tit in a trance trying to work out where and how I've allowed this to happen, as I'm convinced I was 100% at fault and it was 100% avoidable. Now I will say that I'm being massively dramatic for full effect with this intro. I'm not dying and I'm not quitting YouTube. I know I'm supposed to keep this suspenseful atmospheric introduction going, one of the reasons I'm sat on the floor in my garage, for the benefit of audience retention and algorithm engagement. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm all right. I'm absolutely fine. I'm just royally pissed off and I want to share with you why. That's why I'm making this video. I'm also making this video as it's part of my journey / progress, which is why I have a YouTube channel in the first place, to document all of that stuff, partly to inspire others that find themselves in similar situations to me, and partly because I made the mistake of uploading a video a few weeks ago now about an upcoming event that I'm entered into, and now I have to completely backtrack, which makes me feel like a complete idiot. Now I left an ominous message at the end of last week's Sa Calobra revenge video where I said that something bad had happened during my PR attempt in Mallorca. That issue may have jeopardized my Fred Whitton challenge that's supposed to be happening in only a few weeks from now at time of recording. Now if you have absolutely no idea what it is that I'm talking about or what this Fred Whitton challenge is, then don't worry, you're probably not alone. This is me, this video is me just trying to work things out in real time, and why the same issue that I'm suffering with at the moment keeps cropping back up, even though I hoped I had solved it with my previous bike fit. But before I get into that, I want to quickly explain for anyone that didn't watch my video that I posted at the end of March, one that I now regret making, that the Fred Whitton challenge is basically a lovely long bike ride, 175 kilometers, over some hills, roughly 3,100 meters of climbing, in a very picturesque part of the UK, the Lake District. And that third part, it being in the Lake District, is why I entered into it. I like running and cycling in pretty places. That's what enticed me. I broke the golden rule most sensible YouTubers never break. Don't jinx future projects, in this case a cycling event, by announcing it to the world before it's actually happened. I did that with this video and now I wished I hadn't. I'm also quite a superstitious person and now it feels like I jinxed it by tempting fate with that video too. I made all the mistakes by uploading that video. The reason I say all of this is because I've decided that I can no longer take part in the Fred Whitton challenge, and I've decided to pull out. Last week at the end of the Sa Calobra video I alluded to this, but I didn't elaborate because, and this is a big because, I was hopeful that something miraculous would happen, or given some time to recover, I could still rock up and give it a go. But in the cold light of day, I now know that both of these scenarios are not realistic, and if I did do them, it would probably jeopardize other future challenges, events and projects that I have planned in this year's calendar. And along with the Fred Whitton challenge, I also had to cancel other events, which luckily I didn't make videos about. And for the record, I'm absolutely gutted. I don't know if it comes across in the video, but I'm absolutely gutted that I've not been able to do this, and I've wasted quite a lot of money on non-refundable entrance fees too. I was really looking forward to it. So what is it that's actually happened that's not only prompted its own humbling video with me sat on the floor in my garage, but has meant pulling out of upcoming events and has sent me into a complete tizwaz for the last 7 days? I'll cut a long story short, but if you watched last week's cycling video with my daughter Scarlett, you will know that we both hired bikes from a company in Mallorca for our 120k adventure, and that company that I used to hire those bikes were the same ones that provided the bikes for our big group rides the week before when I went out there with Zwift. I used the same company as I was short on time, they seemed really good, and I needed something I was familiar with, so I could focus on other things like route planning, cameras, and making sure that my new to cycling daughter didn't ride on the wrong side of road directly into traffic. I didn't want to have to think about the process of hiring a bike, which is why I went with the same shop that I used the week before. It was an intentional decision and made perfect sense, because when I hired my first bike the week before, I had absolutely zero issues. I gave the shop my bespoke bike fit measurements in a 3-page PDF document because I'm really organised, which is unlike me, but I was in this instance. And if you recall, I had a professional bike fit in February. I made a video about it, and the bike shop that gave me that professional bike fit gave me a very, very comprehensive breakdown of all possible measurements in a very comprehensive PDF document, which I handed over to the bike shop. Basically, if it moved on a bike, this document said exactly where it should be positioned for my ample frame. And as much as I didn't expect the Spanish bike hire shop, and I'm being intentional vague here because I don't actually think they did anything wrong, and I don't really want to name and shame them in a public video, but as much as I didn't expect them to read the 3-page PDF printout and essentially give me a free bike fit on the spot, which is what it would have been if they altered everything that the document measured, but I was hopeful they would at least transfer the saddle measurements and my handlebar measurements across onto my hire bike. These two measurements are the two most important points, making sure I'm not overreaching and my knees are not over or underextending. Now, over a short distance, the bike fit being wrong is less than ideal, but probably wouldn't make much of a difference. But obviously, cycling the kinds of distances that I did over the 4 days that I was there, the first time when I was there with Zwift, definitely would have caused injury if it was wrong. Unfortunately, the bike shop wouldn't read my encyclopedia of bike fit data, and to be fair, I don't blame them, as if they did that for all customers, they'd only have time for 2 customers per day. But what they did do was measure my inseam and adjusted my saddle to that height. I then tinkered with the bike myself in my own time and rearranged my saddle and handlebars to better suit my original bike fit measurements, which I had plenty of measurements to go by. Now, as I've said, I don't actually think the Mallorcan bike hire shop did anything wrong. They're a commercial business, and I don't want to name and shame, and they have to cater to the masses, not the few, not to high maintenance divas like me. What they did do probably would be acceptable for the majority of holiday makers that use their services, and any keen cyclist worth their salt, and I'm a keen cyclist who's worth his own salt, would of course check the fit themselves and make any adjustments if necessary. That's exactly what I did do, and everything about it was absolutely fine. I rode over 400k in 4 days without injury or issue. But guys, and this is a big but, and if you're watching this video because of the title, then you know this is where the video takes a turn for the worst. The second time I was there, a week later with my family, I forgot to check the measurements, and now on hindsight, I know they were way off. Specifically my saddle height, as it was too high, and I spent the entire 120k bike ride with Scarlett constantly overextending my knees, throwing a max effort PR attempt up Sa Calobra mid-ride, and my knees, towards the end of the ride, eventually imploded. Now, of course, the first thing I know you're probably screaming at the screen, having just heard me say that last sentence about my knees imploding, is surely, Ryan, surely you would have felt the discomfort immediately, stopped and repositioned the saddle before it was too late. And that is a good point. That is a good point, guys. But the answer to that is no. I didn't feel that the saddle was too high. This is part of the problem. I didn't feel any discomfort whatsoever, which is why I'm so confused. It was only after we returned from our 120k bike ride, when my knees were in agony, that I knew I had messed up. So the next day I measured the seat and handlebars, and it was only then I realised they were way too high. But obviously it was too late by then to fix it.
The biggest mistake I made, other than not measuring my bike myself, was up until this point, I assumed on the second venture to the bike shop, they'd put my seat and handlebars to the exact same position they had the week before, even though I'd measured it and adjusted it myself. This was a big mistake. This was a big psychological error on my part. It was a schoolboy error, and one that I've now taken steps to ensure won't happen again. I've made a very good decision, and one I'll cover in a few minutes, so don't go anywhere, which involves this box. I'm still a novice cyclist. I'm still learning. I don't have a favourite bike that I'm dialed into. And because of that, I don't have the muscle memory to know when a bike fits me or doesn't. Comfort is in the eye of the beholder. And it turns out that my threshold for discomfort is concerningly high. It's a good thing if you're in an endurance race, but when you're out on a bike ride, you should know if it doesn't fit you or not. I was back there in Mallorca with the family for 4 days, and I had 4 days of cycling planned, including one out to the lighthouse. If you know Mallorca, you'll know what I mean, that I was really looking forward to. But because I messed up so badly on the Sa Calobra ride, I had to spend the 3 remaining days sat down as much as physically possible, avoiding stairs at all costs, and socialising. The family had a great time. I came back limping and 1 kg of all-inclusive buffet heavier. The reason I forgot to check the bike fit the second time was human error. I've already said that, my error. And like any good air crash investigation TV episode, it came about because I was in a rush. We were late collecting the bikes from the shop, and by the time we had finished faffing, all I was focused on was completing the bike ride that included over 2,000 meters of climbing with my daughter before it got dark. So I completely forgot to measure the seat and handlebars. And as I've already said, because it felt fine at the time, it didn't occur to me. I had no issues. Both Scarlett and I had a great time. We laughed an awful lot, stopped for coffee an awful lot, enjoyed snacks, and I even managed to set a fairly respectable Sa Calobra PR time, all without issue. That was until the ride back to the hotel. We were only 10k from the end of the ride, and I immediately felt something go in my right knee. It didn't come on slowly, it happened all of a sudden. I won't go into detail, but it hurt a lot. And I immediately knew from the pain that it wasn't okay. If I was cycling near my home and this happened, I would have stopped immediately and called someone to collect me, but I wasn't. I was in another country with my daughter without a car, and we were both still 10k from our hotel. We also only really had another hour of daylight left, and we didn't have lights with us, so I had to endure the pain, which I now know made the injury significantly worse. At the time, I knew my right knee was wrecked. As soon as I got off the bike, the pain was almost unbearable, and I couldn't use it to walk up or down stairs, as the motion of stepping up and down mimicked the repetitive cycling motion. However, it was only after a few hours and into the following day that I also started to get pain in my left knee too. If it doesn't rain, it pours. The same knee that I'd injured at the end of last year in exactly the same way, which was caused by riding 330k along the length of the River Thames in 3 days without a proper bike fit. There's a pattern starting to emerge here, guys. However, unlike last time where I continued to race on Zwift with the injury, refusing to believe it was bad, this time I haven't used it at all. I've rested it in the hope that it repairs quicker. I'm really hopeful. The only difference is that it's both knees now that hurt, and it's not just one knee, even though my right knee is significantly worse. And if you've watched any of my injury update videos from last year leading into this year, if you've followed my journey for the last 6 months, you'll know how hard I've worked to regain my fitness and strength. And before last weekend, I was almost back to where I was in the summer of last year, when my fitness, endurance and power was at its peak. I'd nearly regained my fitness and I was looking good for the Fred Whitton. I was really looking forward to it. However, it now looks like I'm back at square one again, with the prospect of having to go for it all again. And that mental barrier that I've got to overcome is what's taking its toll on me at the moment. I've been here before. I know what I've got to do to regain fitness, and it's frustrating to say the least. However, the only thing that's keeping me going and stopping me from selling all of my camera equipment is that with every good failure, there has to be a redemption arc. You now get to see me make more videos about my return back to form, and I'm really hoping that's a good thing. I've had to cancel more than just the Fred Whitton. I've had several challenge videos planned for May, which have now all been scrapped, but it does mean I get to make different videos that I've had in my notebook for a while, which I know you'll enjoy watching. Fingers crossed. You'll have to be the judge of that in the comments. And I also get to announce 2 completely new videos coming very soon, both of which would never happen if it wasn't for these series of unfortunate events. Every cloud has a silver lining. I had a professional bike fit not too long ago. I've already said this. It was a good one. I even made a video about it. The chap that did it was very good. He was very comprehensive. I've got nothing but positive things to say. And I was very happy with it. But what has thrown me off and has confused me is why I didn't feel any discomfort before my knees imploding, specifically my right knee before it went pop. And then it only happened at the end of the ride, not during it, even though my saddle and handlebar heights were significantly off. You would have thought it would have happened sooner, or I would have at least recognized the discomfort sooner. I think this is what's frustrating me the most, more than forgetting to check the measurements itself. I mean, that is annoying, but the fact that I didn't feel something was wrong when I was riding it is a bit of a concern to me. So this is what I want to discover. This is what I want to look into. Why didn't the saddle height affect my comfort levels throughout the ride? Why didn't the fit that was obviously wrong affect me sooner? And probably more importantly, is there something more specific to me, my body shape and the way I ride a bike, that's contributing to a very specific type of injury that's directed at my knees? Considering this has now happened to me twice, I'm starting to think there is, but I could be wrong. This has prompted me to get in contact with a very well-known physiotherapist who is an expert in biomechanics, and they've not only agreed to help me, but they've also allowed me to film the process. So now I'm going to make a video about this process as I learn more about not only becoming a better cyclist, but more importantly, one with bulletproof knees. That's my aim, guys. These next few weeks, learn as much as I can about my own body mechanics and biomechanics in general from an expert. I'm going to stop watching YouTube videos, I'm going to stop guessing, and I'm going to look into why I keep getting injured. These past 8 or 9 months, guys, have really tested my mental resolve. Last week was the closest I've come to wanting to jack in this fitness and YouTube malarkey. However, it's forced me into appreciating how important a good bike fit is, the importance of biomechanics, and if nothing else, I'm going to come out of this process significantly more informed than I was only 12 months ago. Every day is a school day, which can only make me a better cyclist. So even though you won't be getting the new Fred Whitton challenge video anytime soon, you will be getting to see me go through the process of a full clinical bike fit video in the hopes that I can, once and for all, discover what it is that's causing my knee injuries and put into place specific actions to permanently prevent it from happening again. What that will look like, I'm not sure yet. I have some ideas, but I'm pretty sure the expert will help me with that. And then, guys, the best bit about this video, the other unexpected positive to come from this debacle, and one that if you follow me on Instagram, you already know the answer, is that I've decided to buy myself a brand new road bike, which is sat next to me, still boxed up, as it was only delivered yesterday. I'm going to make a full new bike day video, which you all love, where I talk about why I chose that specific bike. However, and this is a sneak preview, the main reason I bought it is that I want one that's completely dialed into me and the one that I can take with me to all events, domestic and abroad, so I can eventually build that muscle memory and become a far more competent cyclist, as at the moment it appears I haven't got a clue. My new bike also means no more hire bikes, which can only be a good thing. Oh guys, and one more thing before I let you go, this will be the last time I announce any big challenges in advance on YouTube, just in case I end up jinxing them and having to then make a second video and backtracking, which is very humbling. So, positive, 2 new videos will be coming soon. New bike day and clinical bike fit. I'm still working on those titles. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on next week's video, which is going to be a good one. They always are. Thanks for watching.